Hey, how you doing, folks? My name's Patrick Duff, and I am a researcher in the New Jersey area and Philadelphia area. And I've been working on a big project for Martin Luther King. And interestingly enough, it's about a house that Dr. King used to live in. And I just read a news article about a house that Rosa Parks once lived in. And in this article, let's see if I can find it here. That's not it. All right. Here it is. Brown University cancels Rosa Parks house display in dispute. So this came out on March 8th of 2018. And what it's basically saying is there was a house, if you see this woman standing in front of it, that is the niece of Rosa Parks. She said that she used to live in this house with Rosa. And the house was actually disassembled in Detroit, Michigan, and brought all the way to Berlin, Germany, where it was reassembled in Berlin, Germany. Then there was an agreement made between Brown University and the artist, a guy named Ryan Mendoza, to bring this house over to Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, and set it up in an old factory and have it as an exhibit for people to take a look at. And it is a pretty cool old house, tiny little place. But so they started setting up this house, and all of a sudden they got a cease and desist letter, basically, from Brown University to tell them to stop putting the house together, that the exhibit is off. And one of the reasons they state was that it's off because there has been a dispute as to whether or not Rosa Parks actually lived in the home or not. Now, I am a researcher. I do a lot of research, and I'm really good at finding things people can't find. So before the end of this video, I'm going to show you something that is going to kind of put the other side's theory to rest, that Rosa Parks didn't live in the house or never stayed at the house on Deacon Street, which is the house that we're looking at here, right down there. Now, what I want to get to first is that, this is on March 8th, so something happened on March 8th that caused this house to be canceled. And one thing that Ryan Mendoza had said in one of the articles that I was reading was that he had made a post, and his post was saying that they should change the university's name from Brown University to Rosa Parks University. And the reason being is that the Brown name is tainted because it was involved in slavery. Now, that being said, they actually started a group at Brown University to try and kind of make a betterment of this legacy. And it's interesting because this was a part of that, was bringing this house in, was a part of trying to make that legacy better. But here you have Ryan Mendoza questioning Brown University, and basically stating that Brown University, and I'll read you the end piece here because I think this is pretty important. It says, let's see. Now that the house has been repatriated, Brown University has asked that it go to the Waterfire Art Museum for temporary exposition. The school is named after a prominent mercantile family whose members were Rhode Island slave traders, but the College of Rhode Island was so taken by the generosity of the Browns that in 1804 it renamed itself Brown University. So what he's basically saying is that Brown University was started by or funded by people who held slaves, and therefore they should change their name to Rosa Parks University. I don't think that's a bad idea. It's probably a pretty cool idea. But remember, this project got canceled on this day, on the 8th. So somebody must have read this article pretty quickly and then jumped right to the conclusion to say, you know what, I'm going to cancel it. But that person, whoever that person was, had to be a pretty powerful person, I am guessing, right? So, as we slide down to the comment section, we find a woman named Sylvia Brown. Sylvia says, before making such inflammatory comments about Brown University, Mr. Mendoza, you might first check the facts. The College of Rhode Island was founded in 1764 by the Baptist Society of Philadelphia, with funds donated from throughout the colonies. It was renamed 40 years later to honor Nicholas Brown II, an abolitionist and great supporter of freed blacks. He made his money in the China and Java trades, no, not the opium trade, and forbid his captains from dealing in any way with the slave traders. As for what you say about our name, that is about as facetious or fascist, Fatuous, maybe I don't know that word, but I've never seen it before, as equating your name with all the conquistadors called Mendoza, who slaughtered and enslaved their way across South America. Check out Grappling with Legacy, Rhode Island's Brown Family and American Philanthropic Impulse. That is like a tongue twister in itself. So, who is this person, Sylvia Browne? What is this book? Grappling with Legacy. Oh, by Sylvia Browne. It's by her herself, and it's talking about how the Brown family got all this money and gave it away, and they're such great people, and none of the money came from enslaved Africans in any way, or opium, obviously, since she already stated that. So, this article, he prints this article that day on the 8th, boom, it gets canceled, the exhibit gets canceled. We're talking about, he brought this house from Berlin, Germany, all the way over here, and what they stated was that there is a dispute as to whether or not Rosa Parks lives in the home, or lived at the home now. So, remember, this thing goes up, she makes this post, and guess what? The house is no longer on display. So Sylvia Browne, somebody might want to ask her why the house is not on display, because I believe that she has something to do with it. Now, that being said, I told you that before the end of this video I was going to help you out with some information here. Rosa Parks. This is a good picture of her there. But this is an article from 1961. Remember, Rosa Parks in 1955 and 1956 is when the Montgomery bus boycott took place. So this is about 5 years after the bus boycott, and she is here doing some, she's a seamstress at the time in Detroit, Michigan. And she's telling her story about what happened to her. And interestingly enough, and let me go to, where is the, I want to find what Mr. Cohen says about Rosa Parks staying there. Let's see. Stephen Cohen. So Stephen Cohen says, the truth is, she didn't stay there. He said, it's a house which Rosa Parks' brother and his family used to live in. It's no more Rosa Parks' house than it is my house. Mr. Cohen, you might want to take your foot and gently place it inside your mouth. Because this newspaper from December 17th, 1961, with an interview of Rosa Parks, says something a little different. It says, the move to Michigan? The answer begins with limited opportunity in Montgomery. Mrs. Parks' high school education qualified her to do secretarial work. As far back as 1947, she was a seldom paid secretary in a small branch office of the NAACP. A month after the publicized bus incident, the department store job ended when Mrs. Parks was told she wouldn't be needed any longer. Quote, you might say we didn't have any more family there, Mrs. Parks explained, and I have a brother, Sylvester, living on Deacon Street, here in Detroit. We decided to try to make our way up there. Well, there you have it. The question was, did Mrs. Parks stay in Deacon Street? And this is her saying that she made her way up to Detroit, to her brother's house, Sylvester, on Deacon Street. Well, looks like Mr. Cohen, who you said the truth is, she didn't stay there. Looks like you're wrong, sir. The beauty of history.